The film begins by showing a person named Soo Hyuk, who just come out of jail. At that time, people used to be super scared of him because he was a really tough gangster. There was even a time when he took out a lot of other gangsters in a super harsh way. The moment he stepped out of jail, there was a fancy BMW waiting for him, a gift from the big boss. Next, we get to know about Soo Hyuk's boss, Eun-gook. Eun-gook is the top gangster in the city. Back in the day, he was just a regular gangster. But now he's got loads of buildings that he got by doing some pretty bad stuff, like threatening people and even killing. Now, here's the thing. Eun-gook wasn't exactly thrilled when Soo Hyuk got out of jail. He felt Soo Hyuk was too good-hearted, but Eun-gook didn't want to harm him, especially because Soo Hyuk did a lot for his business. On the other hand, Eun-gook's main guy, Song-joon, wanted to get rid of Soo Hyuk. He was worried Soo Hyuk might take his spot. Meanwhile, lately, Eun-gook has been trying to grow his business. He's knocked down a lot of houses to build new apartment buildings. But there's this one church that's still standing because the priest doesn't want the new buildings. Eun-gook tells Song-joon to sort it out. Song-joon then gets this guy, Woo-jin, who's kind of crazy and has his own weird ways of hurting people. Soon after, Woo-jin goes into the church pretending he wants to say sorry for things he's done wrong. While Woo-jin is chatting with the priest, a lady sneaks into the church and sets up a bomb. Her name is Jin-ah, and she's friends with Woo-jin. As soon as the bomb is set, Woo-jin gets rough with the priest, and then the church goes boom. The next day, Soo Hyuk drops by his girlfriend Min Seo's house. They were about to get married once, but he chose his gang life over her, which landed him in jail for 10 years. He says sorry, but she doesn't say much. Instead, she surprises him with a ballet show featuring their daughter Yoonbi. Turns out Min Seo was expecting a baby when Soo Hyuk was jailed. She tells him that if he wants to be in Yoonbi's life, he has to quit the gang. Soo Hyuk remembers the bad stuff he did 10 years ago. Eun-gook had told him to attack a group of gangsters, even though they were allies. At that time, Soo Hyuk did it all by himself, and that's why he went to jail. The next day, he decides he's done with the gang life. He visits Eun-gook's big fancy office. Song-joon, who used to work under Soo Hyuk, but now acts all high and mighty, meets him there. There, Soo Hyuk tells Eun-gook he wants out. Eun-gook looks surprised. Song-joon gets mad and hits Soo Hyuk. Soo Hyuk could hit back, but he stays calm, wanting a peaceful life. Eun-gook lets him go and even offers him money for all the work he's done. But Soo Hyuk doesn't want the dirty money. Eun-gook gets a bit suspicious and tells Song-joon to keep an eye on him. At the same time, Min Seo was at the hospital. She found out she has bad cancer. But she doesn't want her child to see her looking sick. Later, Soo Hyuk goes to see his buddy Jun-ho, who used to be in the same gang but left. Soo Hyuk was surprised to see that Jun-ho had a lot of burn marks. Someone had tried to hurt him by setting him on fire, and Jun-ho thinks it was Eun-gook's doing because Eun-gook doesn't like when people leave his gang. Jun-ho was so scared after the attack that he hid in China for a few years before coming back to Korea. At that moment, Soo Hyuk gets worried hearing all this because he's left the gang too. When he was heading home, Song-joon and some of his gang buddies come up to him. He tries to get Soo Hyuk to come back to work for Eun-gook, but Soo Hyuk is sure he wants to quit. Song-joon then thinks that maybe Soo Hyuk and Jun-ho are up to something and warns Soo Hyuk to stay out of the gang's business. After talking with Song-joon, Soo Hyuk makes it clear that he just wants a calm and regular life. But after he leaves, Song-joon quickly calls Woo-jin to check about a task he'd given him involving a priest. However, Woo-jin acts weird and doesn't really reply. Then Song-joon gives him a new job to quietly get rid of Soo Hyuk. He says he'll pay a lot for it, but it has to look like an accident because the big boss, Eun-gook, didn't order this hit. The next day, Soo Hyuk is on his way to see Min Seo to tell her he's out of the gang world. But before he can say anything, she faints. As he's rushing her to the hospital, another car smashes into them. Min Seo gets hurt pretty badly. At that time, Woo-jin and Jin-ah were in that car and were trying to make Soo Hyuk's death look like an accident. But some people saw the crash, so they couldn't finish the job. Soon after, Soo Hyuk quickly gets Min Seo to the hospital, but the doctors can't save her. Hearing that news make him heartbroken, and he still has to tell Yoonbi about her mom. That night, as he's about to talk to Yoonbi, Woojin jumps out with a weapon. He tries to take down Soo Hyuk, but even after getting hurt, Soo Hyuk is tough and manages to stop Woojin. Shortly after, Jin-ah decided to kidnap Yoonbi after she heard Woojin got caught by Soo Hyuk. Soo Hyuk tied up Woojin and tried to figure out where Yoonbi was. When Woojin kept quiet, Soo Hyuk heard him to get answers. Jin-ah then called Woojin's phone and made a deal that she'd let Yoonbi go if Woojin wasn't killed. Hearing that, Soo Hyuk wanted to hurt Woojin more, but he didn't because he wanted to make sure Yoonbi was safe. Meanwhile, Songjun got worried because Woojin wasn't reporting back. Soo Hyuk figured out that Songjun was the big bad guy behind all of this. Then he drove straight into Woojin's office to confront Songjun. There was a big fight, but Soo Hyuk was too tough for Songjun and his gang. In that moment, Soo Hyuk thought Songjun was behind Yoonbi's kidnapping, so he tried to drown him for answers. But it turned out the kidnapping was all Jin-ah's idea. Just then, more of Woojin's guys came after Soo Hyuk. Suddenly, Songjun grabbed a gun to shoot Soo Hyuk. Instead of fighting, Soo Hyuk ran away because he needed to find Yoonbi. On the other hand, Jin-ah took Yoonbi to a secret place and locked her up in a small cage. She even let out a big dog to make sure Yoonbi didn't try to run away. Meanwhile, Yoonbi didn't know that Soo Hyuk was her real dad. At the same time, Soo Hyuk was at a gas station patching up his injuries. Woojin, who was with him, was super hungry. Instead of running away, he just calmly got some food. He thought there was no point in running since Soo Hyuk would just catch him again. Soon after, Jin-ah called Soo Hyuk and told him where to meet to get Yoonbi back. The next day, Eun-gu was really mad at Songjun because his office was a mess after the fight with Soo Hyuk. Eun-gu thought it was all Songjun's fault. There, Songjun tried to blame Soo Hyuk, but that just made Eun-gu even madder. He almost hurt Songjun really bad, but he gave him one more chance to fix things and told him to take someone with him to make sure he didn't mess up again. At the same time, Soo Hyuk was on his way to a meeting spot outside the city to swap and get Yoonbi back. But Jin-ah was up to no good. She was setting up a bomb to try and trick Soo Hyuk, and she really wanted to get rid of him for good. Turns out, Songjun was also coming to the scene, but he had his own sneaky plan and even took out some of his own guys on the way. At night, Soo Hyuk reached the meeting spot, but Jin-ah wasn't there yet. While he was waiting, Woojin, who was with him, shared that he could see ghosts. This made Soo Hyuk a bit distracted. Then Jin-ah showed up out of nowhere, helping Woojin to run away and threw a bomb at Soo Hyuk's car. Thankfully, the car was okay, and a high-speed chase started. As they sped along, Woojin tried to slow down Soo Hyuk by throwing a bunch of bombs, but none of it stopped him. There, Soo Hyuk managed to catch them both and wanted to find out where Yoonbi was. But Jin-ah was just talking in circles, making him really mad. So, he shot her in the shoulder. Meanwhile, poor Yoonbi was trying to escape from where Jin-ah kept her, but a big scary dog was chasing after her. At that time, Yoonbi was about to get out when a dog suddenly lunged at her. Fortunately, the dog missed. Just when she thought she was safe, there stood a guy named Kim blocking the door. He was one of Eun-gu's tough gang guys, just like Woojin and Jin-ah. Kim was known to be super fierce and often got orders from Songjun to finish people off. Soon after, Soo Hyuk and Woojin showed up. They were shocked to see Kim there. Woojin, thinking he could team up with Kim against Soo Hyuk, got a rude awakening. Turns out, Songjun had sent Kim to get rid of both Woojin and Soo Hyuk. Without wasting time, Kim knocked Woojin down with just one punch. Then, it was Kim versus Soo Hyuk. In that moment, Kim was giving Soo Hyuk a tough time. When it looked like Soo Hyuk was in deep trouble, pinned down and about to be strangled, someone stabbed Kim out of nowhere. Soo Hyuk could finally breathe again. While he wanted to finish off Kim, his main goal was to save Yoonbi. Just as they were about to make their exit, they noticed Woojin was gone, and to make things worse, there were bombs set to blow. Without thinking twice, Soo-hyuk grabbed Yoonbi and jumped into a pool to stay safe. On the other hand, Woo-jin and Jin-ah thought they were clever by stealing Soo-hyuk's car to make a getaway. But then, out of nowhere, another car crashes into them, and it's Song-joon behind the wheel. Song-joon thought Soo-hyuk was in the car he crashed into. When he asked where Soo-hyuk was, Woo-jin tried to fool him by saying he was dead and demanded his payment. Not buying it, he pulled a gun on Woo-jin, but Jin-ah was quick on her feet and shot Song-joon first. Soon after, Soo-hyuk came by and saw the chaos. In his hurt state, Song-joon begged Soo-hyuk to help him out, but Soo-hyuk didn't care and left him to suffer. In the end, Soo-hyuk leaving his wild days behind, settling down and being a great dad to Yoonbi. And the film ends. The moral lesson from the film is if you want to save your daughter, make sure you have a friend that can bomb the kidnapper and then run away.